Hello there. Good evening. My name is Dr. Lauren Fisher, and I'm the host of Wellness Wednesday. Thank you for joining this week. I hope you're having a fabulous week. So tonight I have a great guest of mine and colleague, Alycia Burant, who is the owner of Healthy Minds Therapy, and we're going to be chatting all about healthy relationships and narcissism. It's a term that's thrown out a lot. And my guess is you probably have used it with someone in your life or labeled them that. So we'll talk about whether that's fair or not. But before we get to that, we're going to talk a little bit, or I'm going to talk a little bit about some stuff that's going on in Delray. So, Spring to Action is the big fundraising day and campaign that's put on by ACT for Alexandria. So that is on the 28th, the official day, and it's a great day in our community throughout Alexandria. We are encouraging donations to all of our nonprofits. They've done such a fabulous job that they had, I think, raised $2.5 million last year, just on one day and the few days leading up. So this year, the Delray Business Association and all the businesses within are jumping in to do a business fundraiser, and we're challenging the Old Town Business Association, who is talking a lot of smack. So that makes us just want to, work even harder because we like a good competition. So if you guys are in Alexandria, I would love for you to consider helping out your fellow nonprofits, a cause that you care about. And so here's the thing. You're going to go to springtoaction.org is one way to go about it. And whatever nonprofit you pick, you just have to say Delray Business Association fundraiser. Select that on the drop-down menu. So for anyone who donates and picks us, we're going to have some prizes and raffles and things that you can win. Also, too, the nonprofit that gets the most designations will also win any of the prize money that we receive as an association. Hey, Steve. Good to see you. So also on Visit Delray, which is the main page, there's lots of information there. And you can find out all about that. Also, Delray Psych and Wellness is running its own platform, and we are raffling off a variety of services. So you don't actually give any money for the raffles. You donate just $10 or more to one of the nonprofits, and you automatically get put in for the raffle. So I encourage you to do that. Share. Every dollar makes a difference. And let's take care of each other here. Even if you're not in Alexandria, it doesn't hurt to throw in a few dollars. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's move on to the heart of the show. So tonight we have Alycia, and we're also going to have 2 trivia questions. So stay tuned to listen to that. And we have a couple of different books in which you can choose from, because of course we love books that help us learn more about ourselves and others. And if you do win the trivia, you can choose one of those 3 books. So, okay, we're going to Gaslighting, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery. Also, Disarming the Narcissist. So if there's someone in your life and you want to, kind of know how to put up boundaries. And then this is a one we like. Maybe you should talk to someone. It's a therapist story about why everyone should come to therapy. And it's funny and it's entertaining. So, all right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on Alycia Burant. Welcome, Alycia.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming. So Alycia owns Healthy Minds Therapy, and she is also a group practice owner, and that's one of the reasons we've bonded, but we've actually known each other for several years, and I love her as a leader, and she does great work as a clinician. So why don't you tell the people, if they're not familiar with you, a little bit about your practice?
Sure. So I'm Alycia Burant. I'm an LPC, and I've been a practicing clinician for almost 15 years now. And I'm a group practice owner here in Alexandria. And we have 3 locations in Woodbridge, Fredericksburg, and Alexandria. And we service everyone, really. We from children, couples, families, adults, individuals, and so we're a diverse group of practitioners with a diverse background and training. So right now we're servicing everyone via telehealth, but we're starting to open our brick and mortar locations now. So that's exciting. So we can service people in person again.
Yeah, I know we're all looking forward to that, being able to be more connected in person. Our
Yeah.
profession has definitely had to adapt, but you know what? It's worked, and I'm sure you've been able to really still connect and help people over, teletherapy too.
Yes.
So, all right. So before we get into narcissism, I'm sure you get this question a lot. What made you be interested in being a therapist or in the field of psychology?
Yeah. So I don't recall like a specific, like really pivotal moment where I decided this, but I'm a Virginia Tech graduate and I entered as a undecided major as a freshman. And then I took a psychology 101 class and I just really loved what I was learning and that I seemed to gravitate towards the science part of it, the neuroscience part of it. And so I started volunteering at the suicide hotline in Blacksburg, not affiliated with the school, but just right there in the community. And so it kind of took off from there. And I knew that my heart was really in helping the community and learning more about the neuroscience part of psychology. And so that's where it started. I shadowed graduate students in the neuropsych department and helped with their research. And then went to graduate school and got my graduate degree in counseling. And in graduate school, I knew I wanted to do private practice. And so that's kind of where I made the decision. My older sister, she's a counselor as well. So maybe it
Mhm.
runs in our family. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
I've always loved it. So yeah.
awesome. Well, I think we're wired to help people, right? But some of us are more tuned than others. So I'm glad you're helping. I know people commonly think we're all in the field to figure out our own issues, which may be somewhat true and somewhat
I mean,
untrue, but
helps. It certainly helps figure out your own issues. I don't know if that's why I
absolutely.
entered it, but yeah, it helps.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important for people to know, like, we do just as much work as all of our clients.
Oh,
I always heard
absolutely.
someone say, "You've just gotta be a few steps healthier than your clients." So, we're all on the same journey, right? And always learning.
Oh,
So, thank
for
you.
sure.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing a little bit about how you got here. And also thank you, Nancy, Martha, and Lucille for joining us tonight. We're glad to have you. All right, Alicia. So I'm sure that talking about relationships, what's healthy and unhealthy comes up a lot in your work. Am I wrong?
No, I mean,
Okay.
relationships is the heart of the matter.
It is the heart of the matter in every capacity. So let's talk about narcissism. What is a narcissist?
Gosh, well, that is a loaded question. What is a narcissist? Um, so I think in our culture, I think there's a slang version or um, definition of narcissist, which isn't wrong. I mean, I think that's someone that has a grandiose sense of self, someone that's, high sense of entitlement and can be quite dismissive of other people's achievements. And that is definitely a narcissist. And then there's also like clinical narcissism. That's part of the DSM, which is the diagnostic manual that we use in our field to clinically diagnose individuals with mental health concerns. And so there's certain criteria that you have to have to meet like a personality disorder diagnosis. And so narcissistic personality disorder is a true mental health condition that individuals can have these symptoms that create clinical distress in their daily functioning.
Yeah. So I think you said something that's important. Like, so it's like the pop culture, right? Of the most commonly known is that person who is loud. They demand the attention. They're self-absorbed, right? They are
Mhm.
showing off. They're grandiose, right? And I think people are quick to be labeled narcissists sometimes unfairly.
Yeah.
And you're hitting on a point too as we get into explaining what a clinical disorder of narcissism is. And I think it's important to realize that there's traits, right? So sometimes people could be self-absorbed at a time, or,
Mm-hmm.
loud, or a little bit egocentric. And sometimes those traits can be helpful in
Mm-hmm.
moving forward in some capacity, especially in the business world, right? But a clinical presentation, you mentioned that there is a diagnostic manual, right? That we go by to help us classify like what actually meets a disorder. Do you
Right.
want to pop our trivia question before you tell people what that is?
Give the
Trivia.
trivia question or give the
Yeah.
answer to it?
Well, let's ask
Uh,
and give them a chance to answer.
okay, so what percentage of, oh, I guess I could ask both,
Let's
but
do the
I
other
know
one
which one.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other one. What are some of the symptoms or criteria for a narcissist? What are
Yep.
two symptoms listed in the manual for narcissism?
Just in case you have a manual around that you're reading. Or if you just happen to know, or what you think based on your own understanding of narcissism, go ahead and type that in the chat box.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, a personality disorder, so that's normally not what people come to therapy for. They're usually coming, right, for other things, Alycia?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very rare that someone with a true personality disorder or even tendencies, that's more likely people to have tendencies of personality disorder. Those individuals are not seeking therapy voluntarily, typically. What generally is more likely is the recipient of that abuse from that relationship is seeking therapy. So the
Mhm.
survivor of the narcissist is usually sitting across from me. So someone seeking help of how to survive in this type of abusive relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay, so Martha Carucci here, she's got some good answers. Need for excessive attention, inflated sense of importance, sense of entitlement, they're superior. Check, check,
Ding, ding,
check,
ding,
right?
ding.
All
Yeah.
right, you're the first winner. And then
Yeah,
Summer also
absolutely.
said lack of empathy, and that is a really important one too.
Yes. Oh, is Summer on here? That might be my sister.
Hey, Summer, Sister Summer, welcome.
She's got a leg
Um,
up. She's a counselor.
yeah, oh, that's right. Okay, can't admit errors and won't apologize. So yeah, so there's okay, so let's have you go through a little bit more of the clinical, because these two to the failure to accept responsibility or to admit wrongdoing, lack of empathy, those are ones we haven't hit on yet, right?
Yeah. So arrogance, lack of empathy, envious of others is often one. So the interesting thing about narcissism is they present, very. So there's well, two things here. The interesting thing is they present as very entitled, demoralizing, grandiose, this grand sense of self. But really, at the core of it, they are really hurting inside with their self image. They're often like hurt individuals that are survivors of trauma of some sort, or they're struggling internally with their self esteem. And so it is all this grand effort to protect their self image and to kind of disguise the pain that they're experiencing.
So, in other words, if someone deep down is like really insecure and they do something wrong, like it's kind of a defense mechanism to blame others, because if not, they have to like acknowledge that, and that's like too painful to experience, right?
Sure. Yeah, so I know I got a little off track with when you were asking about the exact symptoms, but so taking advantage of others, self entitlement. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're talking a lot about, these all the traits. We're talking a lot about overt, let's overt narcissism. The narcissism can like present in two ways that they're classifying, like overt and covert, right? And
Mm-hmm.
as you talk a little bit more about overt, and these are the ones I think that's a little bit more familiar to people. I do just want to say I do really like your point of realizing whether it's overt or covert. There's a wound underneath. Everyone has a wound, and it's hard to see that when sometimes
Right.
someone's arrogant, mean, abusive, but they are acting out of those wounds. So just for understanding. Okay. All right, Alicia, back to you.
Yeah, so that certainly can be a contributing factor. I mean, there's several things that can lead to narcissism. So a previous trauma, but there's also genetic component. So it can run in families. So there's not always a underlying wound necessarily.
Mhm.
But an overt narcissist, maybe you're not as familiar with. These people are more shy and reserved and might sit back more quietly in a setting, still have the same internal struggles with self-esteem, self-worth, but and still have the same intentions as like a overt covert narcissist, but it just presents very differently.
Yeah, I just want to correct. I think you meant you're talking about covert, the shy people are more the covert narcissists, right?
Yeah, sorry, did I say that backwards?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You got
okay.
it. Just clarifying, right? So they're more likely to be shy, caretakers. They may be like on the outward looking really like they're helpful, very attentive,
Mhm.
at least up front, initial. And which is why a lot of people, I don't know in your experience, but people like, I didn't see it. They're like in the beginning, they're like, this guy or female partner looked great on the outset, but it
Like,
wasn't until like
very
months in.
charming.
Very
Yeah,
charming.
very charming and exactly what you said, like appear like they want to be helpful because it's all for self-satisfaction, self-gratification. How can it
Mhm,
benefit them? It has nothing to
mhm.
do with you or benefiting the community or others. They're appearing this way to see like how is this going to help me in the end. It's never about you. Newsflash. If you're like in a relationship with
Yeah,
this
right.
person or it's a coworker or it's a family member, and you have that gut feeling in your stomach like, gosh, this person is just not genuine when they're helping me, you're probably not wrong.
Right. Right. So, like an overt narcissist is more likely to tell you that you are terrible and to tell you what's wrong with you, to degrade you, to humiliate you, potentially
Hmm.
physically abuse you. But the covert's not going to do that, right? The covert's more likely to be a guilt tripper and passive
Yeah,
aggressive. Is that
so
your understanding?
yeah, and so maybe it would be helpful, like some common things that you might hear from that type of narcissist would be so like a guilt tripper, some common phrases that you might hear would be like, you're always overreacting, or you can't take a joke. It's like these passive aggressive ways to insult your self-worth and your self-esteem. So they're very good at emotional manipulation, putting you
Mhm.
down. The whole goal, whether overtly or covertly, it doesn't matter. Again, the whole goal of a narcissist is to isolate you from everybody else. They ultimately just want you to themselves. So that's kind of their motive and their language to you.
Yeah, and I think that you were talking about like signs that you might realize you're saying you might find yourself isolated from others. What else might be some signs that you're in like internally for the person they're in a relationship with a narcissist?
Hmm. Signs that they're in a
How
relationship.
yeah, like if what might they be feeling or experiencing?
Yeah, so signs that you might be in a relationship with a narcissist, and this could be platonic relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship. This could be someone in your family, could be your mother, your father, a friendship. I think I said that. Some signs you might notice. would be that gut feeling that I mentioned in your stomach, that when you're talking to this person, it doesn't feel genuine. You feel a bit of sense of like they don't really care about you. That their efforts, their conversation, the things that they're saying they don't really care what's happening to you. It's always about them. If there are efforts to isolate you from other people. So if you notice that this individual is constantly putting down other people to kind of draw you in closer to them, that might be a sign. Another sign, like if they're saying things like I was saying earlier, like you can't take a joke, or, you're so sensitive. It's all of these kind of gaslighting behaviors to isolate you, bring you in
Yeah.
closer,
Well,
demoralize
I
you.
think you're demoralized. I think you're hitting on something about, like, in a healthy relationship, which we're gonna get to the big factors of a healthy relationship, but,
Yeah.
like, you feel like your needs are right, are seen and they're heard. So, like, I hear you saying when you're telling people what you need or what you want, like, they're not listening or they're dismissing or they don't care, you know? So you almost I think a lot of people in this relationships just stop expressing because it becomes about them and making them happy and, attending to their needs, and they kind of lose themselves and, often feel low self-esteem, as well.
Yeah. And it's a lot of like guilt tripping, and wanting you to kind of see their value. Like, can't you see how much I did for you? Like, almost like
Mhm.
trying to just put themselves up on this pedestal of how great they are. And don't you see the value in what I'm doing for you?
Yeah.
When maybe you're like, well, I'm not really sure. Like, what did you do for me? Like, I'm always doing things for you. So, um,
Right.
a lot of projecting.
Yeah, the danger is though when you're, like most things in life, when we're not conscious of things, they just start happening. So when you're in a relationship with someone like this for a while, like you start to believe what's happening. And, I had a friend
Mhm.
who I don't think is watching, but if she were, I'm sure she'd be okay with me sharing this.
Mhm.
She was dating for sure a narcissist, and he he was always doing, like, flirting behaviors with other women, inappropriate texts, and she'd ask, and he's like he would blame her for going on his phone.
Mhm.
"You're invading my privacy," and yet, he was always doing something suspicious. So she was like, "Oh, it's me. I did something wrong."
Yeah.
And, he would always be like, "You're crazy," but then do these behaviors, right? And then if she would just like be assertive and was like, "Listen, it's not okay." He's like, "You're yelling at me. You're Italian. You're raising your voice." And I'm like, I've never heard her raise her voice. But like psychologically, like she really started to believe that, and I know that for a while she wouldn't be telling me or others. And a lot of times I think that's where people start, again, that isolation you mentioned. They get quiet and they get in their head and they think, "Oh, I'm bad. I'm not a good girlfriend or significant other." And that's what's dangerous, or, can be dangerous. We always urge, if you're not sure, to
Yeah.
talk with others or a health professional, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just a casual conversation, and we do have experience in this. But if you're in a relationship like this, you certainly can seek professional help. And you don't want to be diagnosing your partner or your family member based on this conversation, but it's meant to be
No.
educational and informative. Because I think there is a lot of like misleading information, and Hollywood tends to glamorize this type of individual sometimes, or romanticize a narcissism. So sometimes you might feel trapped in these types of relationships.
Yeah. Lucille, said, "I was kidding." And you're right. Like, that's a big one. Like, "I was just kidding. You're oversensitive." And, or when
Hmm.
they say also, I'm sorry you were hurt," versus like, "I'm really sorry that
Sorry,
what
I
I
hurt
did.
you.
I
Yeah,
understand." Yeah. Yeah. "I'm sorry you
yeah,
feel hurt," but, um, so,
right.
hey, what's our other trivia question? That would be a good one now to put in for another book. So listen up.
Yes. So, other trivia question is, what percentage of people are actually clinically diagnosed with narcissism in the United States? So, what percentage of the US population?
Okay. So we'll wait for some. I think this will be curious to see what people think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, while waiting for the answers, another one that I think sometimes people don't see narcissists sneaking in is those people who are like kind of romance addicts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, hey, Linda Burke.
Oh, hey,
That's
that's
your
my
mom.
mom.
I
Hi,
know.
Mom.
Your mom has great taste in earrings, as you were wearing her earrings once, Linda Burke earrings.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay, 15%, 20%, 20%. Okay, solid guesses, but you are all wrong.
All wrong.
She said okay. We'll give let's get a few more answers and we'll give the closest one. Oh, 45. Hey, Stephanie. I mean, what's interesting about these numbers is the fact that, it probably feels like that. I have a feeling like everybody knows somebody in their life right now that they're probably thinking like has traits or is. And, the reality is there are a lot of people with different personality traits. Remember, traits are pervasive ways of interacting with others and yourself through over time. So,
Mm-hmm.
if someone's like a narcissist for like, a week or something, they're having a thing that's different. I don't know how many people act narcissistic for a week, but personality patterns tend to stay like
I don't know, Lauren. Maybe
stable.
you do. No, you don't.
I mean, I am. We're joking. Of course, I know more than everybody here because I am a psychologist. No, I'm just kidding. We were talking about all the ways we were going to play out being narcissists.
Pretend to be narcissists.
Pretend. I think we're just pretending. Okay. 5 Summer. Should we give Summer the win?
What'd she say? I
Okay.
can't see the chat.
5%. 5%. So she is the closest. All right.
Okay.
What is the official? You have won yourself a book. All right. Alycia, what's the percentage?
Yeah. So actually, and I think you were getting onto a really interesting thing too, but the actual percentage of diagnosed individuals in the United States is 0.01% in the US. So it's quite low clinical significance. However, here's the caveat to that is most individuals, if you think about it, if they truly have this diagnosis, they are very grandiose, entitled. They are not going to be the ones to call and ask for help. So, we were talking about this earlier before we hopped on. This is probably a really low number, and it might not be accurate. This is an accurate number I'm giving you based on the data we have, but who knows? There could be more. But narcissism it's on a continuum. So we all have traits of this, because like you were speaking to, it's healthy sometimes to have a healthy amount of confidence and self-worth. But, when you start to go all the way this way, then that becomes clinical. And then I'll just throw in there, because I just happened to come across this stat. Globally, it's 6.5% of the population. So Summer was closer on the global level.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the tougher personality disorders. And like you said,
Mm-hmm.
because it's also, and I think it's important, like, I think Alycia would agree with me. I've been in the field long enough now to realize that like personality traits are harder to change, but not impossible. But you have to have buy-in. And personality disorder treatment takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
But if we didn't believe that, we could form new neural pathways or ways of interacting, we wouldn't do the work that we did. But I will say this, just on the off chance that anyone is wanting to help a significant other or member get help, it is important to find someone who does specialize with narcissistic personality
Yeah.
disorder, because
Mhm.
it is gonna they need to be handled a special way. There has to be a lot of trust built to even get into anything that's insecure, or they're like, peace out of therapy the minute you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe that was your fault. I mean, that's me. I'm always like, maybe you got to like really handle things delicately instead of being like, wow, you're really an a-hole last. We'd never say that in therapy, by the way. But, being
Well, we
direct
might.
or assertive, being direct or assertive, is going to make that person be out. So there's a lot of thought going into the therapeutic process. But we do unfortunately often just get the opportunity to work with the people, fortunately and unfortunately, work with the people who are the victims or in relationships that they're not sure are healthy or unhealthy. So can we talk a little bit about what is a healthy relationship? Like, you and I, we talk about this all the time. What do we think are our go-tos that people can really evaluate their relationship on?
Sure. So, some components of a healthy relationship, someone that really lifts you up, makes you feel good, is invested in your goals and your values and aligns with your values. Um, Someone that, like, you have that gut feeling that they are genuine and they are invested in you. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. So, you guys are united as a team. A healthy relationship has a good level of communication and a good level of conflict. Conflict is healthy and normal in a relationship. So I think those are some qualities that are present in healthy relationships.
Yeah, and I'd piggyback on that to be like that there's the safety, right? Safety to express
Hmm.
your needs and your emotions and to be heard, and for that opportunity, right, to resolve the conflict, which means that they can listen, not put you down or dismiss you or gaslight you. That
Right.
doesn't mean that every like conversation goes smoothly. There is emotions and
No.
we all bring in our own skills and deficits, but at the end of the day, that other person really cares about you and loves you and really wants to, resolve things in a healthy way and grow from that as well.
Yeah, well,
But that's
encourages
yeah,
you. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
encourages you. No, I know. I can keep babbling. Feel free to cut me off
You're
anytime.
not babbling. It's so helpful.
Um, so but the safety thing I want to come back to, because it's that you talked about gut feeling, and like when we're
Mhm.
like safe and secure, we feel relaxed and not uptight, and we don't have visceral reactions. And you know I think you can feel unsafety, right, with body tension and tightness or
Oh,
apprehension.
absolutely.
But also, too, sometimes with narcissists, you can feel like mania. If you have like a romance love addict who's like, I can't be without you, and then you're away and they want you, like that anxious, like kind of manic feeling could also be a sign of narcissism or a personality disorder or something that needs to be worked out in that relationship as well.
Sure, and that's what can be so tricky in the beginning too in romantic relationships because that can be so fun and inviting in the beginning.
Mhm.
Like, gosh, this person is so all about me and I'm getting all this attention and they're infatuated
Yeah.
with me and it's like they're going to, give me all of this attention and they're giving you messages like don't be with other people. I'm meant for you. Don't leave this relationship, which maybe in the beginning sounds great because that's what you're looking for is a committed relationship, but ultimately they're trying to isolate other people from you. They don't want you to grow outside of that relationship. That's
Yeah.
not healthy. Like you should have things outside of your romantic relationship.
Totally. We have a question here.
Yeah.
How do you diffuse a tense argument with a narcissist?
Um, I mean, I think first not taking it personally. So if they are elevated and escalated and it's very tense, being mindful of your reaction. And so first step, not taking it personal, because it's not about you. Like, that's a common theme. It truly is not
Mhm.
about you.
Yeah.
So if you can trying to monitor your reaction and then set a physical boundary too, if it's safe for you to put
Mhm.
some physical distance and walk away, that's certainly what I always recommend. If a couple is escalated in conversation, to take a 15-minute break. If you don't feel safe doing that, I would try to just keep your reactions, your comments to minimum, and just listen. It's a lot of listening. It's not a lot of talking, because
Yeah,
you're
I'd
not
agree
going to
with
be able to de-escalate that
right.
individual.
Yeah, you mentioned that 15 minutes, which is like well researched that like people's emotional regulation, like emotional, like starts to calm down. That's why people take breaks. So if people are really in the height of a like, and they're dysregulated, it's not the time to like talk. So you're right. Like your reactions could escalate them. And that could be dangerous. So if it's more of a person who is abusive or confrontational, you probably want to be quiet and diffuse and come back to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I talked about earlier, like you said, if you don't take it personal and you realize that maybe it's coming from an anxiety or an insecurity, you might be able to like validate those emotions to diffuse it as well.
Yeah, really good point. And that might not be what you think or agree with. Like, you might not really want to say those things in that moment, but that
Mhm.
is going to help you diffuse the situation if you just validate whatever they're saying. So an
Yeah.
example might be like, if Dr. Fisher is like screaming at me and calling me all these names and saying like, I'm just so stupid and how could you do that and all these things, and I'm really feeling hurt, like I can feel it in my gut, like I don't like this, I'm starting to get really tense, and I really want to yell back or say something hurtful. It's probably best for me just to say like, you're right. I can really understand why you feel that way, and just kind of take the one down approach in that moment. And hopefully Dr. Fisher will calm down.
Yeah, I know. Poor Alicia has to deal with my anger every other day. No, I'm just kidding.
That was my
Um,
attempt at role play for you.
I liked it. I liked it. Um, Yeah, it's tough, because the scenario you described, and this takes practice because there's a part of you, right? Like if you're being yelled at, you're hurt or you're mad, and you have a defender come out that wants to be like, "Screw you! You can't yell at me," and you're
Mhm.
reacting to your part's reacting to their part, and it is all going to blow up. And that's a lot of what we teach in therapy, right? Is to like
Your
understand
parts.
what parts of us are coming out, and it does take perspective, and this is why I think this conversation is important, and what you said about bringing back to, if we understand if someone's really suffering from a disorder,
Mhm.
understanding their pathology helps you to be in a better position to support but also protect yourself at the same time. Now,
Right.
again, if you have a partner that you have concerns with, whether it's narcissism or others, it's always a good thing to propose going to therapy. I think that I don't want to say this is all or nothing, but I think that you can learn a lot about people's openness and willing to work on that relationship in a mutual context. But if not, sometimes you got to move on for your own well-being. But of course, there's people like us to talk to, help you sift through all of that as well.
Certainly. We definitely have couples show up in these dynamics, and
Mhm.
it's workable if your partner is open to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that that's a good narcissistic, gray rock technique. I don't know what that means. Do you, Alicia?
Wait, I do what? I can't see the comments. Did somebody say something?
Someone said gray rock technique.
Oh, no, I'm not. I don't know what that is.
I wish we had phone in.
Okay, can we
I'm
phone a
assuming.
friend? Is there a multiple
Yeah.
choice?
Elizabeth, please explain in the chat. And you appreciate how many people have been listening today and on. So this is obviously a topic that's of interest. And I hope that thank you everybody. Oh, Gray Rock. Okay, Martha, we're gonna go research this. See, we learn just as much as
Oh, every day.
we're
Absolutely.
teaching every day. So I love this. And sometimes the people, for those of you, if anyone's listening and you've healed from a relationship such as that,
Mhm.
sharing your story is really helpful. Stories inspire people and they help people. And again, a lot of us who are in those situations aren't conscious of how unhealthy they are. So please always try to help others as well. Okay. Oh, okay. They said pretend you're just a rock and don't react. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of our response, flight
Yeah.
or flee, freeze. So, mhm.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good visual to keep yourself in a certain place so you're not reacting. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I
All
like
right,
that.
Alycia. Okay, well, thank you so much. This has been a fun talk. If people want to find out more about you or your practice, where can they find that information?
Yeah, so we are on the web with everybody else at Healthy Minds Therapy on Facebook and Instagram, and healthyminds-therapy.com on the web.
Awesome. So, special thank you to everybody who tuned in and participated tonight. We really appreciate you listening. And
Yeah.
for Martha and Summer, I will find you guys and ask you about your books and get those sent to you. All
Great.
right. So, thank you, Alycia.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And I'll talk to you tomorrow because I know I'm your favorite therapist friend. So, you, of course, will be talking to me. I couldn't help
Every day.
it.
We talk every day.
We do. Okay. All right. Take care.
Okay.
All right, folks. So that's a wrap for tonight. Just want to let you know to tune in to ZTV tomorrow. Grace Arnold will be hosting the Metropolitan School of Arts and talking about their upcoming Sleeping Beauty. All right. And I think that's it. You can otherwise, just have a great night. And if you have someone healthy in your life, you have some good friends, family members, or significant others, go thank them for their relationships and celebrate people who help people grow and heal. All right, have a great night. And remember, be the good news in someone's life.